Hi, Adrian.
Hi, yeah. Hi, this is the cat. Okay.
It's the cat. Does the cat have a name?
The, yeah, this one's called Lakshmi, naughty Lakshmi.
Like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's an Indian goddess, isn't it?
Ah, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And we have another cat called Ganesh, which is like I think, the elephant god in
Oh, yeah.
India, who is quite associated with astrology. But this one's much better at astrology.
Okay, sweet. Today, we're probably not going to talk about cats, not that much,
Oh,
at least.
mm,
So I'm
mm,
sorry to break that to you. But we have the honor to talk to you today because you have chosen to partake in the Congress, the conference, the Astrology Alletiders Congress in 2025.
mm, mm.
And you're one of the speakers at the Congress. But before we go into what you're going to talk about at the Congress, I would actually like to start out with asking you why, in the first place, you decided to join this Congress.
Actually, it's a very simple and short answer. I would just want to support astrology in Denmark. That's it.
Okay,
I'm in. Uh,
makes sense.
Keep it going. Denmark's been a great country for astrology. It's nice to do anything that helps it flower, really.
That's good. Good. And you were also part of the Congress 2 years ago in 2023, where
Mm,
you were one of the speakers. And
mm.
how did you find that Congress? What did you like? What didn't you like? What was your perception of it?
I liked it. I thought it was really well organized. Everybody was really friendly. I liked the Foredragslokaler, the different places you could speak. I thought the main hall was a bit big and empty feeling. It wasn't necessarily empty, but it was a bit big. So it was the energy seemed to dissipate a bit in there. But actually, it was a great congress. It was organized well. Nice venue, really. Good food, nice dinner, good people. It was brilliant.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Mm.
So, you're going to talk to the audience this year about perception of reality, or myth and reality within the concept of astrology.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
And just to go a bit meta on it,
yeah.
what is this all about?
Okay, that's meta. It's about perception, the way we perceive reality. And it's called the myth of reality because what we're perceiving is not at all what the outside reality is. So, as human beings, we filter reality through the five senses: seeing, hearing, and what we're seeing and hearing and touching, and that what we think we're seeing and hearing and touching is just something that our minds or our brains translate. So the brain is translating a bit like a computer icon translates a word program. You click on a little icon that says word and it opens a word program, right? And it's all coming from a little computer, which is, it's got used to this idea that seeing thing that we interpret icons. And the world is a little bit like that. With our experience of reality is a bit like interpreting via the senses what we think is out there. And because we're all human beings, we all agree. If we were bears or ants or flies, we wouldn't have at all the same picture of that so-called reality out there. So already we've got a kind of sort of representation of reality, which is not reality. But on top of that, you have the horoscope. So if we were really like aware, we get a pretty good, clear experience of what's out there. But because we are who we are with our characters and that, which is reflected by the horoscope, we filter with a second filter really after the senses in our concepts, in our mind, a mental filter. It's more than that. Each of the planet represents a kind of filter. So you've got Mercury like filtering thoughts, and Venus filtering values, and Mars acting on those values, and Jupiter's deciding, making sense of the big picture, etc. And our horoscopes show how we each individually change our experience of what seems to be reality out there. So that's the kind of meta
Yeah.
view. Yeah.
Sounds exciting. Understand it correctly. So you see the planets as a filter, a cognitive filter, one might say, of the world around. And is it correctly understood that the planets are then nothing but a filter, or are they also external in the
Yeah,
sense?
that's the right question, I think, and that's where you get to the whole thing. What is out there? And the thing is that there's no in here or out there. When consciousness rests on the object of consciousness, whether it's a planet or an apple, there is the idea that there's a duality there dissolves, and then there's just a unity. There's a unity, and in that unity, you cannot say the planets are out there or in here. They're concepts in a way.
Okay, so usually there is a binary perception, I would say, in astrology that there is the personal planets, like that you have conscious control over Mars or Venus or the moon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes increasingly more difficult to ride Pluto, for instance, like it's a transpersonal planet. And if you
Mm-hmm.
have a hard Pluto transit, you, of course, or not of course, but you might engage in situations where that is out of your control, seemingly at least.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
that's a
yeah,
really good point. Yeah, but then we get to this thing of who are we? Because this idea that we can control events or control our experience of events or adapt our behavior to events because Mercury, Venus, Mars, etc., represent personal qualities which we can use, and then the idea that there's a kind of collective influences that there's Neptune, Pluto, and beyond Pluto that we cannot presupposes that there is a difference between the self, our individual self, and the cosmos, and that's an illusion that we have to cultivate to exist and to make progress, so to speak, in our lives. But that concept of self, that identification with the sense of self, that completely dissolves at death. There's no the self, what we created as a feeling of self, is an illusion also, and that will also dissolve because there's only one thing, there's only one energy, that's the underlying force in the cosmos.
okay. So it seems like the normative perspective of this process is that through consciousness, through awareness of this, one gains some kind of freedom. Uh,
Yeah,
correct?
that's a very smart kind of remark. Yeah, obviously we can't go around saying that the world out there is like all illusion and that we don't exist as a self and all that. So we're all fighting like crazy, right, to survive and get through life. Actually, I can't remember. What was your point again?
My point is that when one realizes
Yeah,
that,
consciousness. So obviously we need to develop a consciousness, a higher consciousness or awareness. But that awareness really what we need to develop is an awareness of the moment. We need to develop a total awareness of the nanoseconds in each moment. And so with that consciousness, we are in harmony with the cosmos. We're in harmony with the cosmos and we'll be happy. So I think it's more a question of doing the things that, so if you take transit, for example, you put yourself in harmony with the idea of what that transit's about. If it's Saturn, then it's about planning or about structuring or about breaking things down to concrete issues. So consciously, we need to follow what each planet kind of means. And that's playing the game, so to speak. And we theoretically will advance our consciousness and awareness. That'll help us
yeah.
in our future.
And would that also entail, like, from what you're saying, does that entail that one has the possibility to develop out of one's horoscope, or is that mere an illusion?
Yeah, that's quite a good question. But I guess if you're incarnated in a sense, and you've got your horoscope there. That's what you've got to develop. I don't think the horoscope shows who you are. It can show who you're going to be, and the progressions is going to show how you're going to become that. So the horoscope is also a process of becoming. Can you develop outside of that? I reckon you, at a point of 100% consciousness, I think, yeah, you don't have to be limited by your horoscope, but we're struggling along with about 3% consciousness. So I think we just need to try and align ourselves with the energies.
Of course, because it seems, and this is also a very strict binary perception, and I'm only using this binary perception as a pedagogical tool, but it seems like, at least in the astrological environment in Denmark, there is like the esoteric school, and then there is and another school. We could call it psychological, we could call it classical, whatever, doesn't really matter. But it seems, and I'm not esoteric, so I'm paraphrasing, but it seems like the esoteric, at least the Danish esoteric astrological tradition, has a fundamental premise that one develops out of one's horoscope, in the sense that when one is done with the psychological work, it becomes more of a soul horoscope. And I'm not hearing that you are doing the same thing.
No, I'm not.
I know, and that's very clear. But yeah, I'm just trying to understand the difference, or if you would care to explain the difference of this kind of development.
It's the whole idea that there's some kind of separation between the world out there and the world in here. I don't subscribe to that. And so when, it's like you got this kind of schism between horary astrology and psychological astrology, or prediction and personal growth. But the concrete world out there, the things that happen on a concrete level, are all manifestations which are telling you something about who you are here and now. So nothing happens accidentally to you. It's all a consequence of actions. And so I don't see the difference between just living a normal life and this kind of idea that there's a spiritual life beyond that. And why make up a complicated iconography of a spiritual world when actually all you need to do is pay attention to what's going on right here and now?
Wow. Astrology, the way to transcend victimhood, could one call it even?
Yeah, you take responsibility because you are who you are.
Exactly.
And you need to work with that. You've made it, and you're carrying on making the reality. There are actions that you can take, maybe if you've got a Mars-Neptune square, you can watch porn or you can do yoga. I think you have to work on this refinement of the energies in the horoscope. Yeah.
Thank you, Adrian. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, actually, pleasure to talk to you too. Great questions.